Okay, so wishing you a very good evening to everyone, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this introductory session to Google Summer of Code. I am Vidarshana Vikramasinghe. I will be the moderator for this session. So I would like to introduce our resource person for this session. It's Shalita Suranga, who is a former senior software engineer at 99X, and he is the founder of CodeStream. So he'll be sharing his insights and experience about CodeStream, about the Google Summer of Code. It's a program that connects student developers with open source organizations to work on exciting projects during the summer months. So Mr. Shalit has an extensive experience in software development and technical writing and open source contributions. Also, I want to remember that he has also been involved in Google Summer of Code as a mentor and also a participant, right? And he has a lot of valuable insights to share with us. So, today, without further ado, I would like to hand over to Mr. Shalita Suranga to continue the session. Mr. Shalita, are you there? It's over
Yeah,
to you.
I'm here. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, sir, you
Can
can
hear
hear.
me? Yeah, I think during the session, if you can't hear me, I think you can put here a message. I think this chat section, so then I can identify. I think if there's some kind of failure in the microphone or something, so just let me know. Then I will configure it if there's any problem. So I think let we can start with the session. So today's session is about GSoC. So basically, we all know about Google Summer of Code, the term behind the GSoC. So it stands for Google Summer of Code. So probably I think you already heard about this GSoC term, or you maybe studied about this particular topic, or I think you already tried to apply using this website. I think because the if you check the timeline, I think the this deadline is so close and it is about to be expired this I think registration link. So but don't worry, I think if you learn what is GSoC and how to contribute to open source and these things, I think you can apply for the GSoC program next time. But if you already I think if you already prepared for this GSoC 20 I think this year's program, so then you can I think enter the GSoC program well with these tips and tricks. And I think if you don't know about GSoC open source, but don't worry, then with this session, I am going to talk about open source and also GSoC. So we cannot talk about GSoC solely because the GSoC term is involved with the open source development. So very first, I am going to start with some kind of insights about open source term. Then I'm going to discuss about GSoC and what is GSoC, what is the story behind GSoC, and how to participate this opportunity, and what are the benefits of doing this opportunity. So if we do something, we expect some benefits, right? So there are a lot of benefits behind this GSoC opportunity. So this is of course offered by Google. So there are kind of interesting story behind this opportunity or the program. So let's get this started. So I think you already got a kind of introduction about me, and I'm going to say a little bit about me. So I participated GSoC Google Summer of Code 2019 with the Apache Software Foundation, also known as this ASF GitHub organization. So in this project or the particular GSoC project, I work with some kind of web application that is almost look as GitHub. So it is like a GitHub clone. It is known as Apache Allura. So if we check in Google Apache Allura, then you can learn more about me. Learn more about this project. I think this is Apache Allura. Then if you just enter my name, I think you can see my project as well. So in the Medium platform, I wrote some information about this project, what I did, and I think in 2019, right? Just wrote in I think 2018, end of 2018. So what I implemented and this is about I think. No, not this. I think that's about the kind of contribution guide. I think this is the one I'm looking for. Yeah. in 2019. So this is the article. So in this article I just wrote what I built. So in 2019 I implemented a kind of feature for Apache Allure under this GSoC 2019 project. So that's about my GSoC experience in 2000, I think 22 last year. We did some kind of, I think we started doing some open source projects. So our popular open source project name is Neutral Energy. So I applied, I think, with other contributors. I applied this one for GSoC for the last year. So we got selected for, with this project, and we got one contributor, and I was the only one. I think not one only one meant, I think with three or two contributors. We mentored this contributor, this I think this project's contributor, and fortunately this contributor passed the program. So that was the GSoC experience as the mentor. So and not only me was the mentor. There were like I mentioned, I think four or three mentors with me who mentored this project. So that's about GSoC experience. So we can get started with the session. So I mentioned my GSoC experience and experience with the open source. So let's see the outline. So first we are going to talk about open source. So without open source, we cannot talk about GSoC, and we cannot understand this program because it is directly or strongly connected with open source. So basically, GSoC means some kind of program that happens annually and that is involved with open source development. So first we need to understand open source development, or in other words OSD, right? So then we are going to talk about what is GSoC. So why GSoC happens, and who is the inventor of this GSoC program, likewise. So next we are going to talk about why GSoC, why we are doing this. Everybody tells like we need to do the GSoC, and if we enter a particular company, then senior developers might ask, did you do a GSoC program? Are you planning to do GSoC? So why they are asking why there's so much interest for GSoC. So we are going to understand that in this section, right? Then we are going to learn about how to enter this GSoC program, and what are the things we need to do before the GSoC program. So there we can easily go to this website and fill out this application and enter. And there's a kind of I think location to submit a proposal, so we can submit, right? But you won't get selected that most time if you directly if you just apply without doing anything, you won't get selected. The reason behind that is there are some things to do before GSoC. Before completing this particular application for GSoC, there are some things to do. So in this section, in I think in the last section, in the practical section, I will discuss those things. In here, in the this fourth section, I'm going to talk about the basic things, basic steps of GSoC. Next, I'm going to talk about some kind of maybe these are maybe I think secrets to get selected for the GSoC program. Some kind of I think tips and tricks, so you can use them to get selected for this year's program, for next year's program. So that's about the outline. So let's talk about open source development. I think there, we already know there are two types of software, right? If you check software from the source code perspective, there are two types, right? Open source and closed source. You already know about closed source because we all are Microsoft Windows users, right? I think we most of the time used Microsoft Word, such applications. I think during our school time also, maybe in university time also, we already use PowerPoint, like those applications, right? If we take one closed source application, let's say Microsoft Word, so we can use it, right? We can of course use it according to a particular license. So license may say you can use it under these terms. So there are some terms. You need to buy a license. Maybe you need to purchase a license with the software. Maybe we need to pay some money to use the particular software. And if we check about the source code of this this closed source software, we cannot see it, right? If we just Google the source code of the Microsoft Word or something, some kind of closed source software, we cannot see that in the GitHub or similar website, right? The reason behind that is closed source mean we cannot see the source code, then we can't modify it, of course. Then we cannot republish those things. Then if we republish, there can be legal issues, right? Because they are saying in the license we cannot modify those terms, right? So we don't have any freedom to inspect, modify, or publish the source code if we use those closed source software, right? Let's talk about open source. So open source is the opposite term of the closed source, right? All the things goes opposite. So the first important fact about open source software is the public transparent code base, right? The source code should be or the code base. The code base means the source code collection or the source of the project should be public, right? Should be accessible for anyone. So if you just Google maybe Git source code, then we can see this, right? This repository, then we can see what's going on, right? We can see there are several commits. I will discuss about these commits and stuff, I think, in the practical session. So just see the source code. So if we just Google Git source code, so we already know Git, right? So if I open terminal, so if I just enter, just I think I can go into my projects, then maybe neutral node project. Then if I enter this git status, this command, these things will trigger the git source code, the compiled version of git source code, right? So this is the git. So I work with this git command and use this git source code compiled version, right? So I can see the source code behind this software, right? Git, this CLI software source code is visible to everyone, right? I can see it. So if there's any issue, I think there's some kind of link here. I think we can submit issues, bugs, and those things can be submitted, right? So that's about this first thing. Public transparent code base. The code base is visible, and we can see inspect the code base, and we can it is kind of transparent, right? We can see just what's going on, and then it is modified. It is very active. It is modified 2 days ago. It means that it is very active. So we can determine like if there's some kind of project that is not active, we can see I think kind of commits going I think in the very past, right? Maybe weeks ago, months ago, like then we can check the status of the project also. So it is kind of a transparent mode, right? We can see what is going on, and it is public. The next thing is that open source comes with several licenses, right? I think you may heard MIT license, Apache license. So according to those license, we can do several things. So most of the open source licenses, also known as very, I think OSF is the term, or OSF licenses. So those are allowing these things. We can inspect the source code, then we can modify the source code, and we can publish our own version. So if we take a Linux project for an example, according to the open source license, we can inspect it, we can modify it, and we can publish our own Linux kernel. So there are several restrictions, but not so much as the open this closed source project. There are several restrictions under if we think about those licenses, right? I think MIT is giving more freedom. I think there are several licenses that gives less freedom. I think GP. I think you can research more about those things. So the meaning behind the open source development is basically to give the freedom to the users and developers. We can inspect, modify, publish source code. So that thing is known as FOSS. I think you may heard FOSS, free and open source software. Free means we are giving the freedom for the users, and the project is open source. It means it is public and transparent. The process is public. Then next thing is that users can contribute. So if we use Git, I am taking this one as example, Git. So this is an open source project. So if I use Git, I am the Git user. I am one of Git users. I think most users, most computer users or programmers use Git for source code management. So all Git users can submit patches. Patches means can submit code improvements or features, or they can discuss features, and maybe they can submit bug fixes, or maybe they can maybe I think let maintainers know about some security issues, right? There are some security issues they can we can report, right? I think here. I think users reported these things, right? I think those are the things about this thing, the open source developments. This term, users can contribute, users can submit fixes. Maybe they can submit security issues. Likewise, they can contribute in several ways. They can contribute into documents. So if I find some kind of mistake in the Git document, maybe I can fix it and contribute to the project. So maybe I can submit the change, then they will review and accept. So that's about contributing. So next thing is that users can become long-term contributors. So when we contribute, we will understand so much things about the particular project, right? Then we will be kind of top contributors. Then we will contribute this particular project for a long time. I think when I contribute Apache, this Allura project, I contributed, I think, several years. I think implemented several things, like wrote about Apache Allura. Then I moved into another projects and started other projects. But I still check these projects, these Apache Allura projects emails, and vote for those things. I think there's kind of voting system in Apache Allura, Apache projects. So I usually vote for them, those ideas, and like I mean, still trying to be kind of active in those Apache projects. So next thing is that this all things about collaborative software development. So the meaning behind open source development is about collaborative software development. We are building something collaboratively. It's like doing some kind of a group project, right? uh, so the developers may be in different country, right? In US, maybe UK, then they are building things collaboratively. So this Git contributors, if you check here, contributors, there are a lot of contributors. These are people from different countries, right? But they are contributing one project. That's kind of group work, right? This person may be helping to build some part of Git CLI. This person maybe fix the several bugs. Likewise, they're trying to contribute to the same project, but they are maybe from different countries, right? It's like building something collaboratively. So that's what open source development. Now you know about open source development. Everything happens. Perhaps I think most things happens in within GitHub, but there are several things, like several alternatives like Bitbucket. I think there are several other alternatives as well, something similar to the GitHub. But most things people try to use Git and GitHub together. So if you check, I think this. I think there's one place to see all trending things are here. You can see trending open source projects. Then you can browse these things and see what's going on, what they are doing. There are several issues. Maybe in the practical session, I will go deeper into this. I mean, Git and GitHub, those things. So now I'm going to look into other slides. So next, I'm going to discuss about what is GSoC. Now we know already about open source development. Now we can start learning what is GSoC. So the meaning behind, I think I already told you, the term, this GSoC term stands for Google Summer of Code. It is started in 2005. So I told you there's some kind of story behind this one. In 2005, this GSoC started as kind of experiment for university students. So they initially tried to tried to offer some kind of meaningful work for university students during their summer holidays. So they started this GSoC as kind of experiment. So they started offered their some kind of task, some kind of open source development task, and when they complete, they offered some specs and some prizes. So that's how they started this program in 2005. Then now also they are doing it annually, and this year also and next year also they are doing it annually. In other words, it's kind of annual open source development program. So the structure is like this. So I use some kind of diagram so you can understand it better. So the whole process is like this. So very first, the Google is the main part or the organizer. So Google is going to call applications for organization. So organizations means this kind of Git organizations. Maybe we talk about Git, right? This is kind of organization, right? Git organization. There are several things, other organizations. There are a lot of organizations, right? Apache organization. and maybe Jenkins organization. Then organizations are going to send some kind of applications for Google about GSoC. They are telling we have these tasks, we have this task. Then uh, we are trying to apply for GSoC with these projects. Then we have these mentors. So mentors are kind of co-developers. They know everything or most things about the particular project, right? They can teach other people or contributors about the particular project, and they can guide contributors to do their task. So we have organizations. Very first, they are going to send application. Then Google is going to review the application, and they will publish a list of organizations in the GSoC website, right? So if we go to GSoC organizations, if we search this term in Google, so we can see this year's organization. So these organizations got selected for Google Summer of Code for this year. So we have these open source organizations, right? Python organization, GitLab organization. So if we go into particular organization, we can see several projects. So I entered in GitLab, so we can see ideas list. So within the ideas list, they may publish several ideas. Like I will tell more about the ideas when I talk about the steps. So they are basically publishing tasks for contributors. So now here we are here, right? Organizations are going to apply. Then Google will select several organizations. Then they will publish several ideas. We have this task, likewise, and each task is usually assigned into one mentor to two or more mentors, right? So that's the process behind these ideas. So they are going to publish, organizations are going to publish some ideas. So you are here, we are going to initially start getting started as kind of a contributor, right? We can become mentor, but first we need to become a contributor. That's how you enter this program. So first you are going to be a contributor. Then first you are going to apply for the GSoC program. Before applying, you need to select an organization. You're going to select an organization. Then you are going to select some ideas, right? Maybe you can select two, I think three, up to three ideas from one organization to more organization. Then you are going to submit some kind of proposal, two or three, one proposal, like. Then Google and both organizations they are going to review your application, right? Then they are going to tell whether you are selected or not for this GSoC program. Then you can start with this GSoC program. So that's kind of a diagram about that. We have contributors. It means you are here. We have mentors. Mentors means kind of a co-developers of this particular organization. So if we check this Git organization, then there are several co-contributors, right? They know many things about the project. Then they can mentor other people. So they are the mentors. So they can guide contributors to complete their task, right? So we have contributors here, mentors here, organization. Then Google is the person who's going to handle this entire flow. They are going to fund this project, and they are going to offer some kind of dashboard or software for the this particular GSoC program, right? So that's about the structure of the program. I think you know about the kind of entities of the program. We have mentors, organizations, and contributors. We are going to enter this program. Probably you are going to enter this program as a contributor. Then if you complete this role, then you can start GSoC as a mentor. Then if you complete this one, I think, and you have kind of open source organization, then you can uh, create your own organization, and then you can apply for the GSoC. That's kind of I think flow that you need to follow. Very first you need to start from here. So next we are going to talk about why GSoC. I told you initially, everyone is usually asking why you need to do GSoC. Did you do GSoC this time? Are you planning to do GSoC likewise? Then when you enter a new career opportunity, or when you start your internship, I think senior developers or your senior students may ask about GSoC. Why they are asking? I think why it is so important about GSoC, and why they are talking about GSoC so much. So thing is that we have these opportunities. I listed down four opportunities, four maybe chances. So The first thing is that it is kind of great opportunity to learn open source. I think you may know about open source development. Maybe you may already started several open source projects. So maybe you maintain several open source projects. So this is a great opportunity to get started with open source project. So if you are new to open source, this is a great opportunity. If you know open source, but this is also a great opportunity because you can enhance your skills well. I think further about open source. So this is the first thing. It's a great opportunity to learn open source, right? You are new to open source, so it's great opportunity to learn more about open source. So get started with, right? The second thing is that it is a kind of valuable accomplishment for your career. So if you are getting started with a software developer or maybe intern, engineering intern, then this is a great accomplishment because with in most of the software engineering careers, I think they have some kind of reviews or some kind of meetings or some kind of thing to decide the promotion, right? In the software engineering career, you have several roles, right? You get started as a maybe associate developer, then you will become a software developer, software engineer, then you will become a senior developer, then I think technical lead. Those are several roles in the software engineering career, right? So this GSoC thing will increase the chance of being promoted. That's kind of, I think, secret thing. I think that this is because if you do GSoC, they know that you have a great knowledge about open source and you work with several giant projects, so they know it is kind of certificate, right? GSoC thing, you completed the GSoC, then you will get some kind of badge, your certificate, you completed GSoC. Because this is not easy. Everyone is not going to complete GSoC, everyone is not going to be selected for GSoC. This is kind of hard, but it is perfectly doable. This is definitely doable if you dedicate for the open source development, and if we I think if you prepare a high quality proposal, this is doable, and you can of course get these benefits. So but it is kind of hard. It is kind of challenging to enter this program. So that's why I am telling it is a kind of valuable accomplishment for your career. So it may change your career. For entering your maybe a dream company, this may be a kind of help doing GSO. So third thing, of course, prices. You will be awarded with several prizes. The important thing, I think, at the moment is the stipend. You will have, I think, $1,500 or $3,000 stipend, depending on your project. I think for small projects, you will get $1,500 as we are pioneer financial platform. You can easily get into your, I think, accounts using these platforms. So Google award these things. Next, if the project is so large, I think they are offering double as this 1,500. So this is for Sri Lankans. So for other countries, I think depending on the countries, several scales and some stuff, I think they are going to change the payment. But for Sri Lankans, this is the amount. And several swags are there. They are offering some, I think, one T-shirt and several stickers and some swags, like when you get when you participate into several hackathons, and likewise you will get several swags, right? Likewise you will get several swags from the GSoC also. That's kind of important thing about GSoC. And the fourth thing, it is a great opportunity to become a GSoC mentor, like I mentioned in this slide. To become a mentor or to submit your own organization to Google Summer of Code, first you need to become a contributor. That's kind of a normal thing, right? Usually you need to start from the beginning, you cannot jump here. I think there are several chances. I think if you work with particular organization for a long time, then you can become a mentor, but I think Google also recommend to become a contributor first. It is also you normal, right, to get started from the beginning. So first you need to become a contributor to become a mentor. Becoming mentor, there are a lot of benefits also. It affects your career a lot, and also it's also a chance to earn some kind of prizes from the organization. Likewise, that's about being a mentor. These are the benefits of doing or entering GSOC. Next, we are going to talk about the steps. I already mentioned several things here. I think first we need to select organization, likewise. So these are the steps. We can start from the beginning. Very first, I think before entering GSoC or before doing anything related with GSoC. I think you need to understand this thing. It's about knowing your timeline and your goal. Timeline means you may have several, I think, your examinations or other works, right? You need to verify, you need to make sure that this GSoC program won't affect your personal goals. Maybe I'm telling about examinations and other stuff or work related stuff, so it should not affect your personal work, right? Or personal work should not affect GSoC course. Because if you had to stop GSoC at the beginning, I think it's kind of a bad thing, because you are going to stop GSoC from the beginning, and you're going to destroy maybe a chance for other person, right? Because if person is going to be selected for GSoC instead you, and he or she may complete GSoC, but you're going to stop from the beginning. So that's kind of a bad thing, because that's kind of dragging off someone's chance, right? So we should not do these things. So first you need to know, you need to understand the timeline. You need to make sure that you can complete the program, or program won't affect your personal things. So first you need to decide the timeline. Just check your examination schedules or your other work related stuff. Just take those things before applying these. Because if you don't apply this year, you can try next year. So that this program will happen annually, right? So don't worry. Then if you cannot apply for this year's program because of some kind of personal work, next year you can apply. So that's about the timeline thing. Next thing is that your goal. I mentioned there are several prices, right? If you focus on this one, if you solely focus on this third thing, I think that's kind of bad thing. If you really focus on prices and stipend, and if you try to apply, I think there will be several issues regarding your quality of delivery. I mean, if you your dedication. I mean, if you really think about the open source learning chance, and if you really think about these other things instead of price, then price will automatically come to you. If you think these things, I think you will understand what I'm telling. If you really think about your learning opportunity, the price will automatically come. I'm telling, just to focus on the learning. I mean, the outcome should be you will be a good developer, good open source developer, if you follow GSoC. Then price is the kind of, I think, the kind of side effect of your trying, your dedication. So I'm telling this thing here. Just focus on your goal. Just clearly define your goal. The goal should be, I will be a good developer, I will be a good open source developer, I will enhance my skills with GSoC, right? Not just the kind of side effects this the whole thing, right? We need to think about this one, because that's kind of a motivation for the project. But you don't need to solely focus on this one. You just focus on these four things, especially this first thing and second thing. So that's about it. Just know the timeline and your goal. Then if you are okay, then you can move on to the next thing. First we need to select an organization. If you check here, I think if you go to this GSoC website, if you check here, I think there are several organizations, right? These are already selected organizations. So first you can select an organization. So if you check this one, maybe I think these are from the last year, right? See, these organizations are from the last year. So that's why I see neutral this year. So like I mentioned, we applied our open source project and we got selected. So if you check each one, for example, if I check this one, these are maybe I can check this year's program, this year's organization, then we can get a better idea. So these are the organizations from this year's GSoC. So if you check this one, maybe Jenkins, we already know. Assume that you don't know about this one. I'm going to click this one. So here I can see some details. So this particular organization uses these technologies. They use JavaScript, Java, Go, Docker. So if you are interested in these technologies, or if you already know these technologies, then it is great to apply for this organization, right? You can read more details here. Then you can check the idea list. So first according to your technology preference or according to your knowledge. Or likewise, you can select an organization or maybe personal preference. So if there's a kind of Sri Lankan organization, then you may select it because it is from Sri Lanka. Likewise, according to your personal preference, you can select an organization. Then if you select an organization, then you can move on and select a project. So under each organization. So I think I can mix the practical session with this slide, so it will be easier for you, I think. So now I'm showing how you can select organization and how to select one idea. So this is the Jenkins project. So if I open this one, so under the this Jenkins project, for example, this can be another any project, any organization. For example, I'm telling about Jenkins. So under Jenkins, we can see ideas. If you click this one, we'll be redirected to their website because these ideas are listed in Jenkins website. So under this link in this page, we can see several ideas, right? There are several ideas. Add this plugin or something, the develop kind of plugin or something. Plugin health is score, not sure, but I need to read about that. But so this is the basically the idea. We can read more by clicking on it. So this page may vary according to the organization, right? So if you go to another project, another maybe organization. So this is from Sri Lanka, as I remember. This is Colab organization is from Sri Lanka. So if you click this ideas list, so we can read more details, right? Here we have detailed information. I think they are using some kind of well organized structure. So they first list down description, expected results, some of those things. So it is easier to select one thing here. So they are listing down the mentors also. So it is easier to pick one project from here. I think you can read more. Likewise, first you need to select an organization, then you can check ideas from their website. Each organization has a separate page for GSoC 2023, right? Or maybe next year's GSoC. So you can select a project. So for example, you can select this project. Maybe they are listing down some hours also. So first, I think next step we can check. Then we are going to select the project. So that's the step we are talking. So next, then we need to learn more about the project and start contributing. So like I mentioned earlier, so first we need to there are several secret dimensions. The if you are going to just submit the proposal, for example, if you going to select this project and you're going to submit a proposal, you won't be selected for one reason, because first you need to contribute. So that's the important part. So if you just apply, these mentors don't know you, right? Don't know you personally, or you don't know your contributors, your commitment to the project. So it's hard for them to select, identify you as a top great contributor. So that's the reason the most people won't be selected for the program. They are going to submit great proposals, so they are going to submit several code examples, so they passed work likewise, but they won't be selected for this reason, because they need to contribute very first. So that's the important part. That's kind of secret of GSoC trust. We need to contribute, because then if you contribute, then these mentors and maintainers know about you, right? Know about your commitment to the project. So that's how you can get started. First select an organization, then select idea, one idea, or you can select several ideas. I think you can submit 3 proposals at max, I think. You can select several proposals. So two, I think I submitted in 2019, I submitted 2 proposals. One proposal for, I think I submitted one proposal for this, as I remember, this organization also. One proposal for Apache project. So was selected for the Apache, I think. So that's how I submitted. I submitted 2 proposals. I think you can also submit 2 proposals or three, or one is enough. But I think for Plan B, I think you should submit. I think 2 proposals. I think you need to submit. So, but that's about your preference. I think you can submit one or two or three. So Next, the most important thing is you need to talk with mentors. So if we check each organization, they are maintaining one communication, one or two or three, may multiple communication streams. They are mostly using, I think, Discord as the communication platform, or Discord, or there are several chat platforms, right? Open source chat platforms for open source developers, I think, Jitter or something. I think they are using these kind of platforms. If you check, I think I can show you the uh, maybe our chat platform. I think the previous I mentioned about Neutral.js project, so I can show you our chat platform. So if you go to our website, so we have this button here. So if you click here, then you will be redirected to our chat platform. So then you can join and start communicating with other people. I mean, there are several developers, there are co-contributors, you can discuss. So that's how you communicate with these mentors. So each mentor will be there. So if you go to this website also, Jenkins also, there will be kind of communication mechanism to talk with these mentors. So mentors are there, potential mentors, you can talk with, I think, several ways. Probably, I think they are using several chat platforms like Discord or Jitter, likewise, or maybe Google. I think Google has kind of a mailing system, right? I think Google something it is. I cannot remember. I think they are using mail threads also. Some organizations. Previously, we use in Apache project, we use mailing thread. In email, we just reply. We don't use any kind of chat, instant chat system. We use a mailing thread. In mailing thread, we are going to open a thread about discussing this thing or something. Then some people is going to reply likewise. They are using mailing thread. So modern organizations are using, like I mentioned, Discord or these kind of chat platform. Using their chat platform, you need to talk with mentors, just ask more details. So how this works, how to submit a proposal, I think you can ask those things. And you can be friendly with them. I think just ask about more details about the project. What if we implement this one? Just become friendly and ask more details. Then mentors know about you, right? So if you submit a proposal, they know about you, they know your profile. Then first important thing is this one, right? Don't forget this one. Before talking with mentors, you need to start this one. I think I also had this experience. So even when we became mentors and when we started mentoring students in previous last year GSoC, we got several messages like the students or contributors are telling, I am from this country, I have experience with this one, but they didn't contribute. That's the issue. Some people contributed a lot and they talk also. So that's how you enter this program. That's how these are like secret of GSoC. First you need to start contributing, then talk with mentors, then only you are going to submit a proposal. We cannot jump into this one from here. Select a project, just submit a proposal. That's the wrong thing to do. These the two things are very important. First thing is contributing, then we need to talk with the mentors. Right? When you submit a proposal, they know about you, right? How this is the person, he did or she did great commitment for the project, they implemented this thing, that they know about you, then they can accept your proposal. The very important fact is that before submit a proposal, you need to show the draft also to the mentor. I think they, when you communicate, they will ask the draft of your proposal. That's very important thing. Next, you can literally complete the project according to your the proposal. In the proposal structure varies based on the organization. I think in this website, I think we had some Sri Lankan one or this one. I think we have some kind of document explaining the GSoC proposal here. I think proposal structure also something. I think uh, uh, not sure it's here. Template of proposal template. Here's the one. Each organization usually list down these facts should be included in the proposal. Likewise, they are listed down here. Also, we can see in this organization list down their proposal here. So here is the proposal template. So according to this template, you can prepare. But it's also important to show this one before submitting to the GSoC program. You need to share the draft with the mentor or mentors, and you can get their ideas. I think according to the ideas, you can modify or improve your proposal, right? But don't just submit the proposal after selecting a project. Like I mentioned, you start contributing, then talk with mentors, and show the draft, and then submit. Then you can complete your project according to your proposal. In the proposal also, I think they're asking some timeline. I think here's the one. Timeline is very important. In this month I will deliver these good things. Likewise you need to mention. So that's about the proposal, project proposal. So that's about program steps. I mentioned I will. I told you like at the beginning. I will tell some. I will explain about GitHub and some important stuff, and these things will be practical. Likewise, so I just went through some slides and explaining, right. But during the explanations, I showed you some practical stuff also. But now I can discuss about some practical stuff for things you should know before participating in GSoC or before starting with open source development. So the first important thing is Git and GitHub. Both things are important. So if you check open source project, maybe I will take this example for an example. So if you go to the GitHub organization, they are directly showing this GitHub link, right? They are using GitHub. So they are using GitHub. Then if you maybe try to contribute to this project, then you need to use the Git also. So if you try to submit modifications or try to submit modification or issues or something, then first you need to know about GitHub, this platform. Then you need to know about Git also, because to submit these changes, these are commits. So these are commits. So to do these things, to create a commit or likewise or modification, you need to know about Git. So if you try to bring this code into your computer, you need to clone, right? I am telling some technical terms. I hope you know about Git. I think most of us know about. I think students know about Git and GitHub also. I'm telling some. I mean, giving some introduction or some facts about these things. Things you should know about. Before GSoC, before doing GSoC. So first you need to clone. If you try to contribute this one, first you need to get this repository and build it locally or run it locally, right? Then you need to get or clone this one into your computer. Then you can copy this link and use git clone like command. I think you already know about Git and GitHub, so I'm telling you need to know about these two things. You need to know about Git and GitHub. If you don't know about Git branches or Git merges or Git these things, there are several Git skills, right? So first you need to be good at Git. So just create local repository. So if you go to here, you can create Git repository here. Maybe I can create another folder. So I am going to create ABC project or something. So just enter here, just create Git repository, and maybe you can create a file. Hello, I'm going to create just a file here. Created the file. Just try to do these things. So if you enter this status, you can see what's going on. These some not modified, so we need to add into the repository. So these are just basics of the Git. First need to know about Git, Git create a repository and just practice, because when you contribute, you know need to know about these things, these stuff. These skills should be mandatory for contributing open source. First just create a repository and just do these things and just practice. I think if you enter git cheat sheet or something, I think you can get a set of commands here also, and then you can just see about this command. So git add this command. I think you can just follow a tutorial. Just be good at Git and GitHub. So I will create a repository here. I will just make a commit here, just to mention about Git. So I will add here and commit here. So it is added now. Commit is written into the repository. So if I enter git status, I cannot see the modified things untracked file. So if I enter git log, I can see the commit, right? So if you submit this one to GitHub, it will appear here. So that's about the Git and GitHub. So you will work locally. Then if you push Git on, we can use Git push. Likewise, then if you push into this repository, maybe it will appear here. But the important fact is that these are things maintained by particular organization, right? We cannot directly put commits into here. What we do is we usually fork. So if we need to contribute, or maybe I think if you study this one, maybe you see several issue here. One issue like this image is not appearing. Maybe it can be a kind of issue with the this network queue, but assume that this is kind of issue, so you are going to fix it. So that's how you contribute. So you are going to first fork this one. You're going to fork, then you will have your own version of this repository. Then you are going to clone, you are going to download like this. You are going to download this particular source. Then you are going to fix it. Then you are going to push into your forked version. Then you are going to open a pull request. So these are the pull requests opened by the contributors. So someone fixed this thing likewise. So assume that this one is submitted by you. Then you can discuss. So the contributors or the maintainers are saying, yeah, this is good. So they are going to merge likewise. So that's how you contribute. You can discuss, contribute. Then once your change is merged, so it will appear in the original repository, right? That's how you contribute. To contribute, you need to know about Git and GitHub. I just told some stuff about Git and GitHub, but you can follow a great tutorial, I think, about Git and GitHub. So next thing is that how to apply for GSoC. I think I think 7 or 8 minutes, right? So I think we can have, I think, 5 minutes time for like just to discuss some questions. I think here the questions will appear. I think, yeah. Yeah, there are several questions. I think if there are several questions, I think I can discuss. So I will quickly explain the other stuff and get back to here. So other thing is how to apply. So first you can just go to the uh, GSoC website, GSoC 2000, I think 23, or just enter GSoC. Then you will have this website. Then it will show some status. So here we can become a contributor. I think we are close to the deadline, right? But we can still apply, right? Here there's a button, I think. Yeah, register to become a contributor. So using this button you can become a contributor, and you can fill up several details, I think. Then you can enter to the dashboard, right? So right now I am not logged in. So if you logged into the dashboard, you can submit a proposal, and you can see the idea list, and you can do those things, right? So if you register and enter to the dashboard. Right now I am not logged in, so I'm talking about how to apply. So first you need to register, and like I mentioned, you need to know about these things, right? I'm just telling you about the platform. Just enter this page, and you can log in and become a contributor. And when you are in the dashboard, you can just submit a proposal. Those things are there. I think in the video also everything is explained. I think there's a video here. I think yeah, this video you can literally check. Yeah, you can see how to apply, and there I think in, all your questions are usually answered here. So next thing, how to contribute. I also mentioned using, if you use GitHub and Git, the most of organizations are using the Git and GitHub. So if they use Git and GitHub, you can fork the repository. Then you can clone into your computer. Then you can compile it yourself or run it yourself. Then you can submit patches likewise. Or pull request. I think you can just see more details, more, I think, information about open source contribution from the. I think there are several tutorials on YouTube, I think. So because this session is about GSoC, right? We already discussed about GSoC. Before applying GSoC, you need to be good at Git and GitHub, and also entirely the open source development. So thank you very much for listening or joining to this session. So if you have any questions, I think you can add it here. I think from other social media, the comments will be appeared here. I think I can check how to find the repo and contribute as a from GitHub as a beginner. So that's a kind of a question. I think for that happens with I think I think newbies in open source. So the first thing is that, like I mentioned, first you need to check about Git and GitHub. Just understand how Git works, how to work with Git and how to work with GitHub. Just create several repositories, your own repositories, and just push several commits. So add your own maybe university project if it is possible. If it is and can be published as open source project, you can create a repository, and maybe you can create your profile page on GitHub pages. I think you already know about GitHub page. So the next thing is that how to contribute. First, I think you need to check GitHub trending thing. I think I already mentioned you. I think it is easier to find several repositories. So here we can find, I think, based on your favorite language. Maybe if the JavaScript is your favorite language, you can select JavaScript and see several repositories here. Then you can enter here. Then you can check if there is any issues. You can select issue. Give me a second. Maybe I think I can show you several issues, several repositories from the code tree organization also. So for example, we have this maybe build tree, I think the project name. Yeah, this project. So if you check this project, we have one issue. So I think I mentioned that I need to add this feature. So if you need to work, if you like to work on this one, if you try to contribute this project or to this particular issue, you can select this one. Then you can clone this one, fork this one first, then clone it, then try to run it locally. I think every GitHub repository typically contains a README explaining how to contribute to such features, such things, how to contribute, how to run this project. So using these guidelines, I think you can run this project, and then you can implement your feature. Then you can submit a pull request here. I think there are several pull requests. I think one contributor submitted this one. So if there's a kind of modification, usually the maintainer mentions it here, then they are going to merge this one. So if you assume that you are this person, you are going to submit this code chain. So you submitted this code chain. So once the maintainer merges this particular pull request, it appears here. So this is the commit from the contributor. So once you added the commit here, then your name will be displayed here as the contributor. For example, this person. So that's how you contribute to the particular project. I think I answered that question. There are many questions. So this is the one. How they select me as a winner. So how to select the winner. So I think you talk about GSoC. Or if you in GSoC, there are several reviews. There are several evaluations, right? Once you enter, assume that you submitted a proposal, the proposal got accepted, then you will be entered into the GSoC program. Then you will start coding, right? You start implementing your what's the things in your proposal, right? According to the proposal, you are going to deliver kind of a feature kind of maybe bug fix or according to the proposal. Then each, I think there are two evaluations. I think mid evaluation and final evaluation, as I remember correctly. So in the mid evaluation, they are going to evaluate your work, the work you did according to you. I mean, they are going to compare with your proposal. Are you implementing the things in your proposal? Like, are you doing good in your code? I think if you are doing good in code quality, I mean. If we are going to implement something, the code quality should be there, right? We need to write clean code. They are just checking your code also, I think, the maintainers. and they will check your code and your work, and they are going to mark you as passed or failed. So if you are doing good and if you are implementing these features great, so then they are going to mark you as passed. Then you will be moved into the next step, the final evaluation. In the final evaluation happens usually the end of the GSoC program. I think in the September, August, as I remember. So if GSoC begins in, I think February or March, or I no, April, I think. So the end of the year usually they will have the final evaluation. In the final evaluation they are going to evaluate your work, and they are going to mark you as passed or failed. So if you pass these two evaluation, then the GSoC status will be passed, then you are the winner. Means there's no, I think called this is not a competition, because there's no, I mean, ranking or stuff like that. This is just kind of evaluation is there just to check your work, right? So there's no winner, but the goods and stuff, I mean, the prices will be there for you if you complete, right? So that's how I think the winner, you will become a winner. So if you complete this program, yeah, you will become a winner. Then you will get these things, wages of these things. The price will be there, and opportunity to become mentor. This stuff will be there. So first you need to complete the program successfully. I think that's the answer. I think I discussed our question, right? I think time is going. I think now 7, right?
Uh, yes, Mr. Sharda, and we have a question from the audience. So they are asked how to develop a new framework such as Neutralinos, and what are the things we need to learn. So
Yeah, I think a nice question. So actually, I think first we need to learn about existing things, right? So we got this. I think this is. I need to mention that this new technologies project. Actually, our I think final year project in, I think, 2018. There were, I think, one, two, three, three developers, including me, for this the final year project. So this new technologies project was a kind of result of our final year project. In the final year project, we discussed a kind of theories, so theoretical aspects of building a framework, and we prepared some kind of demo, or maybe a POC, proof of concept of our idea. Then this Newton project was a result of our idea. So if you check Neutrino, so we can check more details about this from this website. So this is, like I mentioned, this idea came as a result of our research. I mean, we research about more about open source frameworks. I mean, cross-platform open source frameworks. So the first thing is that if you check cross-platform open source, I mean, desktop framework, very first you will get about Electron, I think. Uh, yeah, Electron is the popular one. I think it is not listed here, but Electron is the very popular desktop application development framework. So we try to use that Electron thing. Then we had several issues, like the Electron usually produces some large bundle size if you deploy an application. For example, if you write a Hello World application using Electron, maybe you will create a calculator likewise, a small program. But if we develop even a small program, the bundle size will be higher. So there's kind of issue with the framework. So we checked other frameworks also. There are several frameworks similar to Electron, like NWJS likewise. So we saw a problem that need to be solved. So we solved that problem using our open source project, this new technologies project. So that's the idea behind the things. The question, I think, is about building your own framework or something, right? So if you're going to build your own framework or library or anything, I think first you need to research the existing things. Because if you develop something similar to Electron, I think you are just reinventing the wheel, right? Because you are building something that is already built and available in the community. But if you do some kind of new thing, or if you solve a problem in an existing project, so that's the thing you should do. I think first you need to research and experiment with existing projects. Then you will get some ideas, like what if you do like this, what if you solve this particular issue. then you will get something to experiment, right? So if you experiment and follow in these ideas, then it will usually end up in kind of a new framework or library. I think that's the answer. I think first you need to uh, study or learn existing things, or then research about them, then identify a problem or in those projects or new problem that should be solved by with a framework or new library. Then you can start building it gradually, I think. So that's the answer, I think.
Okay, Mr. Savita. So, actually, it was a very informative session during the past hour. So, thank you very much joining with us. So, in behalf of the FOSS community of Lhasa University, I would like to thank our resource person, Mr. Shalita Suranga. We wish you nothing but the best in the industry. So stay tuned with us for the community of Vellasa University because great things are ahead of you. So we are going to wind up the sessions and thank you all for the participation and have a great day.
Yeah, have a great day. Thanks.